Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Spending Time with Gregory. This is Friday Evening Focus. Friday Evening Focus is a time where we get real intimate. We have real intimate topics, and we talk about things that are real serious on Intimate Focus. It's set in my room. I got a candle lit. Just try to set the scene for intimate topics. Now, first, I want to say, one of my subscribers, said to me today, Greg, in one of your discussions, I counted 140, so I got to work on that, guys. I got to work on that. And another one of my subscribers said, Greg, you're doing a little stuttering. So that's something I got to work on too, stuttering. So I did do a few videos today. I did an exercise, like a music video, showing got those guns showing. I wore a small short tonight, so you can see I've been working out. So exercise is working. I'll be 60 February, so trying to stay in shape, keep things going. I had a whole lot I wanted to talk about that was real intimate tonight, and I had a discussion I wanted to have tonight, and I wanted to talk about personal goals. We may still get into that, but I got in the shower. When you're setting up videos and prepare for YouTube, it's a whole production. You have to really get yourself together mentally, physically, socially, and your mindset have to be right. Because when you're talking to your subscribers, when you're talking to people, you want to be confident in what you say, confident in the message that you're bringing. Now, I had a whole monologue, of personal goals that I want to achieve, starting now and into 2026. But I got up, took a shower. And while I was in the shower, I thought about mentorship. And I thought about my mentor. And while I was in the shower, I was thinking about what he used to tell me all the time. And it kind of stuck with me. And I said, you know what, tonight on Friday Evening Focus, I think I want to talk about that. And what he used to, and there's a backstory to it, and I'm going to go into the backstory, but I want you guys to take this phrase and marinate on it and kind of, now this phrase, my mentor, I first heard it from him. I mean, you may have heard it from somebody, but I first heard it from him. And the phrase was, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Now, here's the backstory. Now, I had met my mentor in a program that I was in, and he told me that, he said, I'm going to be a part of your support group. I'm going to be your sponsor. I looked at him like he was, a what? What you going to be? I'm just here for help. I don't need you to do nothing for me. I don't need you to do nothing for me. I don't need your help. I don't need anything. I don't need you to do anything. And that's what he told me. And we exchanged numbers. And he told me, he said, call me. And I tell you, that probably was the worst thing he did, was give me his number, because every time I called him, I wanted to borrow $5. I wanted to borrow $10. And I wanted to borrow $20. And I wanted to borrow $50. But you know what he told me? He said, every time you call me, I got $5 for you. And I was in some of the worst situations. I was probably, 20 miles away from him, and called him for $5. He said, come get it. But you know what? Every time I went to his house for those $5, as I was driving away or walking away, he would always tell me, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. You know, maybe the last few times I went and got $5, that phrase started to resonate in my head. You know, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And I was like, wow. You know, when am I going to get ready? You know, now I understand that phrase a whole lot. You know, and sometimes, you know, I use that. If I have a personal relationship with the client, you may hear me say, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. You know, and it goes to say that when you're ready to make changes in your life, when you're ready to do different things, you know, you'll hear what's being said to you. You'll hear from the therapist. You'll hear from the mentor. You know, you'll hear, you know, when I was finally ready to change my life, I called my mentor every day for 1 year. Every day. I called him every day for 1 year. Every day, if it was just to say hi. But every time I called him, he had a word for me. And I took off from there. You know, when the student is ready, that's your personal growth. You know, guys. So take a look at that. You know, take a look at that phrase. You know, it's important, you know, to, you know, seek guidance from somebody that can help you through this process. You know, and like I said, this came to me while I was in the shower. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Let that marinate. Let that marinate with you, you know. And that's anything in life, you know, not just substance use, you know, just, you know, whatever you're doing, you know, and you need help with it, you know, listen to somebody, you know, the teacher will appear. It will help you through this process, you know, and I'm going to get ready to get off here, but I wanted to give you guys a little story on this hat here. I was selling bottled water in front of the Dolphin Stadium during one of the Orange Bowl games. And the bottled water, you know, that was like a hustle of mine. I was selling bottled water out of cooler. And one of the Tennessee fans said, hey, you know, can we trade a hat for a bottle of water? And that's how I came across this Tennessee hat. And I got a buddy who's in the mountains of Tennessee right now. So I decided to wear this hat, you know, to show appreciation for him. Now, guys, thank you for spending time with Gregory. I'll see you guys in my next video. You guys have a nice night.